Okay, let's get started. Um, I'm Pedro. I work at the source code group inside of the create stage as a product designer. And today I'm going to walk you through basically what we've been excited about in the recent times. Small intro, what is source code? So the source code group is separated into two categories, sorry, the source code management and the code review. Recently, we've been focusing a lot of our efforts in code review. And although it has the lovable term here, we don't think it's lovable enough. So we're investing heavily on depth over breadth. The code review category, there's a link there for the strategy, is basically an essential piece of every successful software development project today. And it allows developers to discuss changes, mentor other developers, share knowledge about the code base and other things, and also to identify defects before those go into production. So a normal and very small way of representing what a code review process looks like is this small diagram. So you see this journey where you have the author and the reviewer lanes. And initially the author requests a review during the review preparation process. The reviewer accepts the request. They then go on into what is probably the most lengthy part of the process, the feedback loop with the rework and review changes. So in this continuous loop, asking for changes and until they're accepted. And once everything looks good, it then goes on to be merged. This is a simplistic view of how a review process works, regardless of which tool you're using, or even if you're not using any tool. So why are we focusing on code review? So give you some stats about the state of code review from the recent 2019 survey that is linked at the bottom. So code review is considered the #1 way to improve code quality. And it's also the #1 business driver to adopting a code review. 45% or only 45% of developers are satisfied with the current code review process. And this satisfaction about code review process is also very much attached to the feeling of an overall quality of their own software. 67% of developers are participating in code reviews at least weekly, with 42 doing these daily. And 69% of developers use repository tools like GitLab to do their code review. Or they also use them as part of a larger tool set integrated with a dedicated peer review or static analysis tool. So you can see that there's a lot of emphasis in code review when people are developing software. For us at GitLab, we've defined our primary metric of success for this category, for the code review category. And that is, our primary goal is to reduce the duration of the code review. So we think that if we're able to improve, so basically this, just to clarify this metric, when I say reduce the duration of the code review, it means that it's measured as the duration from the first merge request version to the moment it is merged. And we think that code review is a critical quality gate and shouldn't be artificially truncated. But being blocked waiting for feedback is obstruction to reducing cycle time. So we think that improving the efficiency of code review by making them faster, easier, and real-time should, we hypothesize, reduce the barriers to best practice code reviews. And you can read more about it in that link. What is the code review process today at GitLab? To answer this question, we first did a competitive analysis. A brief analysis focused on the user experience and feature set of our competitors. And that is already part of our handbook page of the code review category. You can find the link there. It's even though I think it's brief, It's rather extensive because we look at many different competitors. And this was done as part of a larger issue around discovering what code re-review means. Where code re-review is basically when people are working inside of that feedback loop. So they've already reviewed something and then they come back to re-review it and so on. And as part of that product discovery, we also interviewed users and identified customer types for this code re-review. The second thing that we did is basically, or I did, was go down this rabbit hole of when I was looking at competitors, I eventually thought, no, we have to do a synthesis of what all of this means. So not only looking at competitors, I tried to get to know existing customer interviews that I've made in the past, get to know the findings that we had from UX research that was done at GitLab from many months ago, or even some years ago, that it was done and was not acted on because there was no urgency and there was just no capacity allocated to acting on those findings. And also reviewing literature, academic and non-academic. And you can find the Google Doc with all of those, with all of that synthesis there. So this helped us prioritize pain points and also possible differentiation compared to our competitors. So one of our first pain points that we've identified is during the prepare review phase, the author or authors usually ask themselves, who should or can review my work? And why is this a pain point? Because according to an academic study on, they did a large scale study on source code review recommendation, the main issue in large distributed systems is idle time and wrong assignments for code reviewers. Between 4 to 30% of reviews have code reviewer assignment problem. These reviews significantly take 12 days longer. And we also have many quotes from existing user research that we did at GitLab, where people say that the manual process of finding the right person is tedious and time consuming. The next pain point that we've highlighted is the IDE and people preferring to review things in the IDE because they feel it's faster and that they can get a better sense of everything. And this is mostly applicable to the reviewer role. And why is this a thing? So again, we have quotes, people saying, like, if he needs to go deeper into the code, he will open his IDE so he can get a full picture of how everything works. Other people say that reviewing code in VS Code or another IDE is much faster than reviewing it in the browser. Not being able to use the keyboard to quickly navigate, it doesn't emulate the IDE experience. And finally, an academic study highlighted that one of the main reasons for success during code review is that the reviewer needs to have access to the entire code base so they can reconstruct the invocation path of a given function or to understand the impact of the proposed change. This is one that I particularly enjoyed, this pain point. It's not so much of a, it can be a pain point, but it's also a very interesting finding, is that people struggle to understand the intentions of comments, how important comments are. And this is mostly applicable to authors. And you can see some quotes here that people don't understand as well when feedback is written, how they can give feedback positively. How can they write it in a way that people understand their intention? And also, this affects the efficiency of code review because if people can't communicate well in text, they don't know how important a change or a request for change is. So can they move on with the review and with the merge request, or is this a blocker? So this is another pain point. But for me, the biggest pain point of all that has the largest occurrence and the largest impact of all and sits right in the middle of this feedback loop and can happen over and over and over again is what happened since I last viewed this merge request. What needs my attention? So today we don't have a way to answer this properly inside of GitLab. So if you multiply the time that people spend in merge requests, reviewing code, and inside of this feedback loop, you'll see how big of a problem this is and how much time is spent. And most of the problems that we've highlighted here have to do with our GitHub heritage, right? This is something that I've realized is having started as an open source project that tried to mimic GitHub's features initially, we ended up inheriting and modeling ourselves largely after GitHub with most of its pros, but also a lot of its cons. And Gerrit and Fabricator are frequently mentioned as the best alternatives to this GitHub code review model. And both Gerrit and Fabricator are dedicated. So Gerrit is a dedicated feedback code review tool, and Fabricator is an integrated code review tool. But they're very mature in this stage. We also found out some opportunities inside of this feedback loop. So one opportunity for differentiation is understanding how I can collaborate better with others that are looking at this merge request right now. So this hints at perhaps real-time collaboration. And another opportunity is how can I connect and document discussions that happen outside of the merge request, either through chat, video, or offline. So this happens a lot. And according to the State of Code Review survey, 57% of developers are participating in ad hoc reviews, at least on a bi-weekly basis. And 30% of developers are also participating in meeting-based reviews. So you can see all of these reviews happening outside of tools. And additionally, 53% of developers are satisfied with their code review process when they have review meetings. So there's a correlation here with this more human way of doing reviews. So what is the future after looking at all of this? What we decided to do is through some small low fidelity mockups with try to paint a visual story of what the future of merge requests could look like. I ended up designing those mockups. We recorded them on video, and we're also opening a feedback issue for people to share their opinions on the future of merge requests. And we're also writing a blog post on what is to come. I don't have enough time to go through these. I think I don't have enough time to go through the wireframes, but essentially we want to make sure that we're focusing ourselves in the right thing. So opening this up for discussion for the community to give feedback is also a way for us to validate the direction that we're going. Some other next steps that we're addressing. First one, highly anticipated merge request navigation tabs at the top. This is coming very, very soon, and it's a way for us to fix small usability problems that really affect the efficiency of code review so that people can get quickly to the changes tab, to the juice of, to the meat of the merge request, the changes. Again, the blog post for the story on the future of merge requests, that is coming soon. And we're also going to do some opportunity canvases for the catching up part, for the real time, and also the code-based context navigation and historical decisions. So we're trying to go and follow the new product development flow. Some success factors or things that will impact the success of this new way of looking at code review. So it's this mindset. So trying to keep this mindset of depth over breadth, because create and source code specifically is very mature. So having this increased focus on depth is very important for us to get this right and actually get GitLab at a more mature level of code review, because today we're not there yet. Another thing is trying to stick to the new product development flow and see how that works. So this new workflow, I think, will help us a lot in solving all of these different problems and recognizing the opportunities. And finally, I wish we had more UX research capacity. And so the resources here are really important. And I want to really thank Sarah and Catherine for the work that they've done for months ago and sometimes years ago, reviewing things related or researching things related to code review and merge requests, because I've been drinking from all of that recently, and it's just amazing to see the findings that we had and that weren't acted on. And so these success factors, I think, will help us try to act on them sooner rather than later. Yeah, and that's it I don't know if I have time to go through the wireframes. If not, I don't know who's keeping time. Is it you, Nadia?
I am. We got about 2 minutes left. Great job, by the way. This is awesome. I think we have quite time for like one question, if anybody has anything.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that like the use of data here, like studies and like research from like academic research and all these data, I think that's amazing. That really kind of like gives a picture of how like impactful these changes can be. And I actually gonna use that type of approach for my own stuff as well, because I think it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. I have to just a small note that before starting this, before going into this rabbit hole of trying to synthesize all of the things about code review, I actually stumbled upon these academic research papers. And there are actually a lot of them. I could find at least 40 academic papers on code review, not just reviewing work, code review specifically. And so I think that maybe in other areas of GitLab, you can also find academic research. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.